Firstly, then, thank you so much for your time in doing this. Really appreciate you talking to me and sharing your knowledge and information about yourself in the sporting industry and now Web3 space as well. Now, Fango is in the process of building the largest sports social fi app, and you're particularly targeting of reaching 80 million users, isn't it? So I'm really curious to have a chat about it. So thank you so much, Tim, for doing this session.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Absolutely welcome. Now, before we kickstart this episode, just wanted to check, Tim, how has your day been so far, and what is interesting that is going on this particular week?
Day is good. The sun is shining. I'm based in the Middle East in Dubai. So yeah, sun is shining today, which it has been a bit cloudy the last couple of days, which is unusual for Dubai. So yeah, everything is going well. I think this week is. It's been a busy week. We're very much on countdown now to the launch of the app in June. So a lot of going through the app, adding new features, stress testing. So exciting, because you never know what tech is going to cause us a little issue or what bug in the app. So there's always something to be working on.
Absolutely, and I definitely wish you all the best. Now, Tim, before we get into Fango and Capital Block, could you please share with our listeners your work history? Because I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and you've been a CEO and commercial director in the sporting industry for quite some time. And you also have a phenomenal experience in Turkey with some of the top football clubs. So I'm pretty much sure listeners will definitely like to know more about your experience in the space.
Yeah, so I started my career 20 years ago now in the media and advertising space over in London. I worked for big media agencies, JC&Co, Clear Channel, that was responsible for most of the out-of-home billboard advertising across London. And then 10 years ago, I left to start my own sports agencies. And I set up a sports agency called Premier Sports Events that was working with Formula One and working with UEFA. That then led me to setting up an agency called Capital Sports Media that was running all of the Turkish football clubs' media assets, or a lot of the Turkish football clubs, working with the likes of Galatasaray, Besiktas, doing sponsorship deals, front of shirts, shorts, LED perimeter boards, doing all of the media and advertising for those clubs, social media rights. And that was an agency that I ran, in Istanbul. I lived there for nearly 5 years. And that then very much led me to my relocation to the Middle East and to Dubai, where I set up an agency called Capital Block, that is a Web3 strategic agency, that is the agency of record for Binance. We work on the Cristiano Ronaldo Web3 partnership. Also worked with the likes of McLaren, Tezos, so big sports brands. We really help sports organizations understand the opportunity within Web3, and that led me to setting up Fango, which is the sports app we'll be talking about today.
Absolutely. And what I'll do is, the show notes below, I'll definitely go ahead and mention some of the interviews that you've been part of and, experience in Turkey, dealing with some of the top clubs, and also your discussion, with CR7. So I'll definitely go ahead and mention that. Now, what I wanted to do is, I wanted you to take a step back. And can you tell our listeners, when is it that you discovered Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies?
So I found and started getting into crypto actually a long time ago. I remember back in 2012, 2013, first coming across Bitcoin. And then I remember at the time buying quite a lot when the price was still very much down at $100, $200. And then I remember at a time it would be when I was still in my youth, and then I would need some extra money, so I'd pull it out of Bitcoin and then go and spend it on whatever. And I wish I'd not decided to do that and hold it, because I'd be in a very nice position. But I kind of started coming across it then, but I didn't really fully get into it until 2017, 18, which is when I started started really buying ETH and BTC, and really starting to understand the value of it in early 2017. And then getting into blockchain was actually in Turkey, where because of the relationship we had with a lot of the football clubs, COVID happened and all of the football clubs obviously were losing money, but crypto was on the rise, and we owned the media assets to all these football clubs, and they had to look to new sectors. So we actually started doing a lot of the cryptocurrency deals with the exchanges in Turkey. So we launched a lot of the brands like Bybit over in Turkey, and that's when I started really understanding the power of blockchain technology. And that started getting me into Web3. And then our agency was the first agency to launch an NFT campaign for a sports club, which was with Galatasaray, which we sold out in 59 seconds. So it kind of was a gradual journey that I was first exposed to it very early on, but it became a passion and part of my career from about 2018. And I've been a holder since about 2017.
And it's interesting you mentioned about Turkey, because Turkey as a country is definitely very proactive so far as Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and even metaverse is concerned as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting to know that you have an experience in that. Now, talk to us about, was there a specific moment where you actually felt that, these NFTs, and that point of time NFTs were just building up, or cryptocurrencies, was there a moment where you felt that this can definitely be applied to the sporting industry? Was there any specific moment?
Yeah, I was actually I was working on a project, and I got introduced to the founder of Avalanche, who the blockchain, who's a Turkish guy, and he really made me understand the power of NFTs. And I think I come from a bit of a different position, because on one hand, I'm a real champion of NFT. Well, not the word NFT, but of blockchain technology and digital products on blockchain technology. But on the other hand, I am very vocal against clubs launching NFTs in the wrong way, taking advantage of fans. So I remember from very early on, in the last bull cycle, my agency Capital Block had always been talking around we shouldn't be doing NFT drops on third parties. Clubs should own their own IP. So I think I was always very nervous and skeptical about the rise and the growth and how football clubs were positioning NFTs to their fans, which was very much based on price speculation. And there is a place in the market for price speculation, as your apes, your punks, your doodles, your pudgy penguins, whatever it may be. There's a place for them to ride in assets. And I don't think that place is in sports. And you saw some really poor NFT drops. And that, I think, created the negativity and the distrust and the relationship between sports fans and cryptocurrency, which is what I'm really trying to do. I'm really trying to change that narrative to a positive one. But I think the sports market really made a big mistake and alienated their fans from the world of cryptocurrency.
You're absolutely spot on, and you've clearly voiced your opinion in the YouTube channel that you have, because you put up a couple of videos stating as to why it wasn't an ideal move to go out and release NFTs. And I do have a very specific question regarding that as well. But before that, tell our listeners, what is Fango and who are the people behind this project?
So Fango is a sports all-in-one super app that is really bringing together all of my experience of my career over the last 20 years. And it is targeting the Middle East and North Africa sports market and the global sports market. But it's an all-in-one sports app where you can go onto the app, you can see all of your live score, news, content, transfer news, highlights of the Saudi Pro League. We're going to have the PFL. We're going to have Formula One on there, football content. But then also you're able to buy tickets, you're able to buy merchandise, and then even book your travel to be able to go to these events as well. So it's that all-in-one sports app, but it's being built on blockchain technology to be able to implement a social-fi model. And for your listeners that don't know what social-fi is social finance, which is us rewarding the users of the app for their time, because sports fans for too long have been taken advantage. And this was part of the inspiration to create Fango, was sports fans get taken advantage of. They spend more and more money traveling, buying tickets, and it's take from the clubs that get richer and richer and richer and have to spend more and more money on players, but it's the fans giving them. And I feel that we've lost the essence that fans are what make sports. So Fango was, I kept asking myself, especially in the Middle East, like, where do fans go? How are they interacting with sports clubs and teams and leagues that they love? I was like, where do fans go? And that's where Fango came from. And then I joined forces with an amazing team. My co-founder is ex Binance. We've got ex advisors from the NBA involved in the app. An unbelievable team behind us. So yeah, I created Fango to really bring together the sports community and give back, initially with a focus on the Middle East and North Africa, because that's where we have content rights, but the app is able to be used globally.
Yeah, and that's absolutely great. And when you talk about strategic location, I think Dubai, you have Dubai Sports Council, you have Abu Dhabi Sports Council. They're definitely very proactive, especially in the sporting sector as well. So definitely beautiful stuff. Now, Tim, I was going through your pitch deck of Fango, and it said problem areas that are currently facing in different apps. And you've highlighted 3 specific areas, that is disappointment in existing sporting app, poor dominance in the sporting sector, and marginalization of average fans. So can you tell our listeners, how is Fango solving these pain points or problem areas that are currently with existing apps?
Yeah, so I think if you go on point 1, disappointment in the existing sports apps, and this is very much when we look at merging cryptocurrency and sports fans together, because that's what Fango is looking to do. It's merging these two worlds, is try and name a really good cryptocurrency-backed sports app in the market.
Just not there right now, isn't it?
There's none. The one that will jump out to maybe most of your listeners is Chili's and Socios that did the fan tokens, but that is very crypto focused. You go onto their app, it's burn this, buy this. So we really wanted to create a sports app that sports fans ultimately want, and that we can then nurture them into understanding cryptocurrency by earning rewards in the app that can be then redeemed into the Fango token. And you look at the disappointment, as I said, in existing sports apps, especially in the Middle East, is there's only 1 or 2 sports apps, and they're all very segmented. And so if you want to then go on and see all of the goals of the Saudi Pro League in 90 seconds, you have to go onto multiple X pages or on YouTube or this or that, or 3-4 different locations, apps, whereas Fango brings it all together and you can see all of the goals in 90 seconds. So that's where we're different. We have this stickiness to keep people coming back to. We've got your news on there, your highlights to be able to see not just the goals, but all of the fouls and all of the saves. And there's no app actually that does that anywhere in the world, even, where you can go on and you can see all of it. All of the tackles, all of the goals, and tap, 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 and you see all of them. You don't have that because it's on the Arsenal page or it's this or that. So we're merging that together. And that's, I think, where we are overcoming the disappointment of existing sports apps in your traditional sector and creating a new model of sports apps for the crypto sports sector and this new industry, because at the moment it's just not being serviced.
Well, are you planning to have, let's say, mixed martial arts and UFC as well in that too?
In the app, 100%. So we will have, we work with the broadcasters, so we get all of the content. Now we're launching with football because it's the most popular. Obviously there is a huge growth in the Saudi Pro League and in the Middle East in terms of sports. But yes, we will be bringing in the PFL, we'll be bringing in Formula One, we'll bringing in tennis and cricket. It doesn't matter what sports you love. Fango is where fans go, and it is for all sports. Over time, we will be embedding them.
That's absolutely wicked. And Tim, something which you briefly mentioned earlier as well. Now, you do have a YouTube channel, and there is a video titled called as How Crypto Ruined Football. So can you tell our listeners about it, please? Because you touch base on some really interesting points. And you also mentioned about Liverpool Stadium's NFT, which does make a lot of sense. And I'm pretty much sure listeners will definitely benefit by listening to it.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm very outspoken in this space, and I think what sports clubs did in the last bull run completely alienated sports fans, because what we saw, as I touched on earlier, is when COVID happened, all of these clubs were losing money hand over foot. And so what they then did is they then were desperate for money. So they jumped into bed with cryptocurrencies and projects that they didn't do their right due diligence on. And they all launched these NFT projects, which had and was marketed and positioned that buy this cartoon character of one of your football players and for $200, and it's going to be worth $2 million, basing it on the success of Bored Ape Yacht Club or Punks or CryptoPunks. But what you got to remember is Bored Ape and CryptoPunk was created for a completely different audience. So trying to just replicate that and then give that to sports fans, what we then, and market it that you're going to make money off this, was really, really reckless. So sports fans then dived in, they bought these NFTs, they literally just gave their money and then were like, now what? And then they just tanked in price. And so you as a sports fan, if you've just spent $70 or £70 buying a Liverpool NFT, and then you get absolutely nothing for it, and then you're not really connected with after, or there's no good utility, and then it just dies out. No wonder it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of football fans. And football fans are loyal to their clubs. But when they make mistakes, they let them know and they don't forget those mistakes. So you look now, any time a sports club announce a crypto partner, Tottenham announced the fan token through Chili's a year ago, and there was protests outside the stadium. You don't get that if they're announcing an energy company on their front of shop. So there's a really negative relationship because of what these clubs did. And it's no fault of the fans, it's no fault really. The cryptocurrency market at the time also took advantage of it, and maybe people with an ulterior motive just to drive the price of their token then jumped on the chance to take advantage of those football clubs. So the football club and the crypto industry were both as bad as each other, but it doesn't mean there shouldn't be a sector for cryptocurrency and sports fans, and that they can't create a product that sports fans want and then start to understand crypto and actually benefit from it. And that's really what Fango is trying to do. So that's why I think crypto ruined sports fans and the relationship with sports fans and crypto.
I 100% agree. And if you look at the value of, the NFTs back then and now, what you're saying does make a lot of sense. So my big question is, Tim, how does Fango, let's say, help three areas? That is the fans, the crypto community, and broadcasters. Can you tell our listeners how does Fango, let's say, start off with by helping the fans?
Of course. So it helps the fans because we're bringing them a product that they want, live scores, news, ticketing, merchandise, all under one roof. It helps the fans because you get rewarded every time you come on the app, every time you read an article, every time you engage in our content, you get rewarded, you get points. those points can then be rewarded for Fango tokens, can be rewarded for tickets, for merchandise, for travel. So those tickets, merchandise, and travel will be phase 2 and phase 3. But you then will be able to redeem it against subscription within the app. So we're giving back to fans. We don't want fans constantly having to fork out money for the content that they love. So we want to give back. So that's how we're benefiting fans, and also bringing them the sports and the news and the content that they love all in one super app.
What about the crypto community?
And
how will the crypto community benefit by this?
And the crypto community, I mean, look, the crypto community are also sports fans. We also have a token behind Fango. So the crypto community will benefit it because we are using our token as an almost a currency within our app. We will be having prediction elements where you can stake your tokens to earn rewards, earn more tokens, win points to be able to redeem that against prizes. So we've got huge plans for the token, and then the token also will unlock some amazing utility. So that will give you access to special events, to be flown to, and I'm saying hypothetical things here because we're still building them out, but be flown to the World Cup if you're a long-term holder, be able to then get access to players, be able to get access to exclusive merchandise, to different bits of content, and then also, as I said, have the opportunity to earn rewards, stake your token. So it is a multifaceted token that is, again, not only going to benefit sports fans, but also benefit the crypto community who are sports fans. But more importantly, the token, we also want to use that as a way to educate the sports fan and turn them into fans and users of crypto. So you can go on the app and you can use it whether you love crypto or not, and not feel bombarded. But what we are going to be able to do is really subtly, as a sports fan, then encourage you to start earning and keeping and redeeming your rewards and taking advantage of what the app is giving back to you. And that's where we then start benefiting both, and then we start merging sports fans and crypto fans together, and that we see a really positive relationship between them.
That's absolutely beautiful, and I do think what will be a game changer is, let's say, if you have a meet and greet, it'll be, a dream for some people. But what about broadcasters, or let's say someone who does want to create, let's say, YouTube content? How does Fango help broadcasters and YouTube content creators as well?
Well, we really work we work only with the broadcasters because we have relationships with some of the biggest broadcasters here in the Middle East, which is why we have exclusive content of the Saudi Pro League and the PFL and things like that. And what we do is we take their short form content and then we help them. So we then distribute that to our users, and we then will drive our users back to watch the long form content on the broadcaster, because our app is targeted to an 18 to 30-year-old audience. It's a younger demographic that Fango's going after, that crypto sports demographic, and their viewing habits have changed. They're not as interested anymore in that longer form content. So what we're also trying to do is drive our user base back to the broadcasters to watch that 90 minutes. But what we're able to then do is we're also able to use the short form 90-second content that we get from the broadcasters to use that in the app that promotes the broadcaster, and also allow the broadcaster to essentially monetize that inventory through us as well. So otherwise it would just be sitting there unused and not being monetized. So that's how we benefit and build relationships with the broadcasters.
Now, one question I wanted to ask is, Tim, because I do a lot of obstacle course race and I often deal with sponsors for the events. So how do sponsors, how do they benefit, let's say, with even got the app, or is there any way they would be benefited as well?
Of course. I mean, look, there's advertising in the app. There's brand partnerships, there's sponsorship in the app. So they obviously are reaching a highly engaged but difficult to reach target audience of 18 to 30-year-olds, male and female across the Middle East. So they get exposure to a very tech-savvy, engaged audience, and that benefits the brands and gives them exposure in a market that is from a sports perspective and a technology perspective is booming.
Absolutely fantastic. And Tim, I was going to your pitch deck, and it also talks about partnership with Saudi sports company that you briefly touched base upon. So can you share that information with our listeners? Because I'm sure our listeners will be curious as to what is going on, particularly with the world of sports and Saudi Arabia, because it is right now becoming the home of boxing and definitely, hopefully in the next couple of years, football and other games as well.
Yeah, so we, as I keep saying, we build partnerships with broadcasters. So that partnership is a partnership which will allow us to show the highlights, the goals, the tackles, the misses of the Saudi Pro League on the app. And in short form content, 90 seconds, as I said, you'll be able to tap and see all of the misses of the weekend or the week. And then people can vote on their favorite goals. We're bringing back match goal of the week and getting people to vote and really be engaged, and that also gives that relationship, opens up the door to other sports and other pieces of content, like I said, like the PFL, the E-Series, things like that. So that's our relationship. We're looking to grow the relationship with other broadcasters within the region, and that's where our business model differs maybe from different OTT platforms and other sports apps, because we put a big emphasis on the relationship with broadcasters to help support them and access a new audience.
And from a business point of view, Tim, are there any challenges that you face? And that could be, let's say, due to cultural barriers or lack of crypto or Web3 education when you're, let's say, interacting with them. What are the challenges that you face?
I mean, it's a big market, the sports market, even the app market, and getting people to download the app, it's expensive. And you've really got to create a good product to get people to download that. That's our biggest challenge. I think, yes, there's cultural differences. Yes, we have to be careful in certain markets, how we position ourselves. Are we a crypto brand? Are we a sports brand? Are we both? What are we trying to push? So there's definitely challenges around that. There's different markets and different adoption of how we need to position the Fango app. But the Fango app will be positioned as an all-in-one sports app. That's what you will see it as. That is powered by the Fango token. But we're not going to be going out in the market screaming cryptocurrency, and this, because that's not how we bring on the next 80 to 100 million sports fans across the Middle East. By screaming cryptocurrency, we scream we are the best sports app in the market, in the region. And this is then come on, earn rewards, engage with us, understand the benefits of crypto. That's how we start bringing them on. But there will be challenges, of course, as we grow and as we become that leading sports app.
And am I right in saying, Tim, that, the app would probably be built on Ethereum or any other blockchain, or is connected to Ethereum of some sort?
Yes, it will be built on Ethereum with a bridge over to Polygon, is how we're launching. The Fango token will be an ETH-based token. Obviously, the rewards will be collected on a points-based system within the app that you're then able to redeem into the Fango token that can then be redeemed against obviously USDT or many of the major exchanges once we launch.
I got to ask this, what was the reasoning to build it, let's say, on Ethereum? Because since 2023, later part of 2023, Solana has been in the news quite a lot, and every second app, is being built on Solana. So what was the reasoning, let's say, to build it on Ethereum and not necessarily on Solana?
I think we wanted to build it on Ethereum because of the decentralization of it and the fact that if Solana breaks, which it does, quite often. If Solana, which I'm not saying it ever would, goes to zero, the company no longer exists, whatever may happen, there's something. We're reliant on one company. Whereas I think with Ethereum, we know that Ethereum is going to be there. It's strong, it's stable, and we then can obviously bridge over to EVM compatible chains onto layer twos. So it gives us a wealth of options. Whereas, and it also, I think, opens us up to a larger market initially with our token, and allows people an ease of access to get our token as well. And look, I am a big fan of Solana. I hold Solana, and it's the people's kind of blockchain and what have you. And we've been having big discussions going back and forth. Should it be Solana? Should it not? Conversations with Avalanche and things like that. But yeah, it's gonna be ETH with a bridge to Polygon initially. And then that's the reason why we focused on ETH.
Yeah, I really am liking this explanation. And, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, he was also asked a similar question as to why he's building a tokenization fund on Ethereum. And he kind of explained something similar. And you're right about Solana blockchain. They've been down for, more than 12 times.
Yeah.
And since they've been up. So definitely brilliant move by doing it on Ethereum. Now, Tim, regarding token distribution, I do have a very specific question. The team gets 12%, and there is no lock-in period as well. So can you give us the reasoning as to why, the team gets such a high percentage, which, to be honest, might raise a bit of questions as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, with the tokenomics is always being worked on. The number one priority for us is our community. That we have a big team. Anyone that comes into the Fango company does get an allocation of tokens, and the reason that we do that is because we want people to feel that they have an ownership within the company. So we have a relatively large pool, not because it goes to the founders of the company, but rather because it is there to be able to be held and split as we bring more people on board and as we grow at a rapid rate. Yes, there's a limited lockup period or no lockup period, but it is then vested and evenly distributed over a 36-month period. So we do put the longest out of any of our vesting schedules. And the reason for this, again, is we obviously want to work and reward our team for the great work. We also want to incentivize them to be able to do better work and to continue and feel that they have ownership within this. And as I say, we are growing and we are expanding. Our headcount is really looking to grow in a huge way over the next 18 months. But we also want, as I keep saying, people that are feeling passionate about the project. We as a company, we have a culture where we want people to feel that it is their company, feel that they're able to make decisions. We don't micromanage people. We let people work, and if you deliver and you deliver good work, you'll be treated in a way that you are an owner of that company. We, as I said, we put faith in the people, and we want to attract the best staff, which is why we positioned our tokenomics like that.
That's beautifully said, and DAX has a motivational factor as well, because you feel like you're part of the owner of Fango as well. So definitely great point. Now, Tim, on the website of Fango, that is fangolabs.tech, it mentions about Fango tokens and utilities. So can you share more information regarding this to our listeners as to what are the utilities and the tokens as well?
Of course. So with regards to the token utilities, as I said, there's going to be rewards elements. So you'll be rewarded for staking. There'll be staking within there. You'll get, if you're a holder of the tokens, you'll get access to exclusive events, meet and greets, discounts on merchandise, ticketing, meetups, sporting events. So it's almost like becoming part of a sports club. We have a big prediction element, gamification, games coming into the app as well. So if you are our token holders, you then get multipliers. So when you win games, you can get multiplier of points. If you do predictions, you get multiplier of points in there, which then are able to be redeemed. Also being token holders means that you will get free subscription into the app. You also become ad free within the app as well. And then there will also be an element for you to have decisions on governance voting and major decisions within the app as well, and the community. So we really want it to be that you hold Fango token to become part of this sports community and culture, not just because you're a Fango person and you're a fan of the product, but because we as Fango want to change the narrative with sports fans and cryptocurrency brands. We don't want to be the only one. We know the power of what cryptocurrency can do. So we really want to encourage our community and encourage people to then be able to work with us, for us to partner with other crypto brands to benefit that sports ecosystem and drive the sports sector. Because the crypto sector is, for sports, it's, as of this morning, $3.5 billion. But 90% of that is controlled by Flow blockchain and Chiliz and Socios.com. And then all the rest is fan tokens, which is pretty much Socios. And then you have maybe 5 or 6 move to earn apps. The sports market and the crypto market should be well higher than 3.67 billion, depending on the day of the market. So being a holder and having that governance within Fango is not just about the guidance of Fango, it's also being a voice in that sports community to really make a change for sports fans and sports projects and the sports crypto sector.
Yeah, and regarding the numbers that you mentioned, I think you do have a YouTube channel where you constantly update people on what is going on so far sports and cryptocurrency is concerned. So our listeners should definitely follow you or your YouTube channel as well. Now, I had one specific question, and that is regarding Fango points. Is there, let's say, a limit to the amount of points that one can take, and is there any kind of expiry date as well? So let's say if I'm a fan and if I get these points, is there a cut-off time by when I need to redeem it, or does it get expired or anything of that sort?
So the points don't get expired, no. Okay. So you can hold them, but one thing that will obviously fluctuate is against the price of the token. Now, the reason for that is because we want to be able to protect our users and also protect the price of the token and the product of the token and the product of the Fango app. So you will be able to earn, let's say, 1,000 Fango points. But depending on where the market is, depending on what you're then able to redeem against. So what we don't want, albeit it will be great for some individual users, is if you've amassed, let's say, 10,000 points, and that equates to 10,000 Fango tokens, and our price is hypothetically at $1, then you're claiming $10,000. Now, while we want to reward people with monetary gains for engaging the app, if we did that and rewarded people with $200, $300, $400 because they log on to the app for 5 minutes, that's going to tank the price of the token because there's going to be ridiculous sell pressure, and that's going to hurt the community. So, and then vice versa, when the token price is maybe in a dip, then what we would do is we'll be able to increase what you're able to gain by going onto the app. And therefore, it's kind of a moving model that we're always looking at that's going to really secure the price and the strength of the token, meaning that we don't have too much sell pressure that benefits the token. So that's how we'll position it, but there's no expiry date. And then within there, you'll be able to have options. You'll be able to have weekly draws, which would be, for example, we may have a special offer on, let's say it's tickets to I don't know, an Arsenal game or whatever it may be, a Formula One race, we will then have these offers where it's redeem your tokens or send your tokens to training camp, maybe we'll call them, and then that would be able to be claimed for this amazing experience. So each week there'll be different rewards and stuff like that. And then, as I mentioned, you can then stake them and send them to training camp and earn more and what have you.
Excellent explanation. Now, Tim, based on your extensive experience in the sporting industry, is there any specific sporting area or sporting industry you would think where Fango would be more suited to?
Well, football, number one, because it's the biggest sports on the planet. It's growing in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. However, we're not overlooking all sports. We'll be bringing cricket in. Obviously, being in the Middle East, there is a lot of Indians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis that are very big into their cricket. You have to look a lot of the locals here are very much into cricket as well. So we're looking at cricket, looking at tennis. Of course, Formula One is massive in the region as well. And then boxing, as you said, the Saudis becoming the home of boxing, it seems. And MMA and things like this. So we're an all-in-one sports super app. We're going to launch with football, but then we will grow into the other sports.
Tim, I'm not sure if you've heard of Block Asset.
Yes.
It's kind of like an NFT app, but for UFC fighters. What are your thoughts on that? And are there any possibility for Fango to probably have a merger with them? Or
Funny you say that, because I had a call before this with an advisor of them. 100% love what they're doing. There's a lot of good synergy there. There's some similarities to what we're doing as well. But there's 4 English guys actually who run that. So yeah, we've my conversation before this was with their advisor. So I think it's probably a case of watch this space, but I'm a big fan of their project.
that's absolutely wicked. Now, we talked about Saudi Arabia, and lately, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have also gotten into obstacle course race. Now, I do a lot of obstacle course race, that is Spartan race and Tough Mudder. And recently, just over a month ago, Saudi Arabia had Tough Mudder for the highest prize money in OCR history. So what are the areas you think Fango can, let's say, capitalize on Saudi Arabia and other sporting areas as well?
I think, especially if you look at someone like Spartan or Tough Mudder, there's going to be a lot of people coming into Saudi from outside the region, such as yourself. You're in the UAE and you flew in there. What we would love Fango to be is to be also that ticket partner. So you can come onto the Fango app, you're able to purchase your ticket in there, you're able to get updates in there as well, and then also be able to earn points while you're purchasing your ticket in there, and have updates within the app. So one thing that we really, and then also be able to book your travel, book your hotels, even purchase your merchandise through that. So that is where we want to see Fango going, and that's where we then can start bringing the world into the Middle East and making people feel more comfortable and safer in terms of how they're buying their tickets, their merchandise, their travel plans, all of this, all through one location, being the Fango app.
Now, Tim, I have really good relationship with the race directors, event organizers for Spartan Race, Tough Mudder. There's also High Rocks, which is kind of like in hybrid events. And I've interviewed pretty much all of them from 3 of these areas. Is there a message you'd like to give to them? Because I'm pretty much sure they will be listening to this episode. What message do you have for them in terms of, how they can work with Fango?
I think the message to them is we would love to have a conversation with all sporting events, Hydrox, Tough Mudder, Spartan, everyone. We are open to looking to build relationships with that not only will benefit your communities and your customers, but also develop and drive people to better your event, and also allow Fango to become a better app as well, and reach better sports fans. As I said, we want to focus on all sports, but the growth of things like Hydrox and Tough Mudder and Spartan is phenomenal. The fitness world over here, and we want to build partnerships with that. And then maybe if you do say it's Tough Mudder, maybe if you're using the Tough Mudder page within the Fango app, then you're, instead of earning rewards to be able to redeem it against, I don't know, a shirt, you're doing it against a gym membership and things like that. So we're open. I would love, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, on all of my channels, if there is anyone that would be interested in a partnership with Fango.
Absolutely. What I'll do is, I'll personally speak to some of them as well. Now, besides Fango and Capital Block, are there any projects that you're excited about? That is, let's say, be in the cryptocurrency, blockchain, or even artificial intelligence world?
I think the AI and the AR world in sports is becoming unbelievable, and the growth. I mean, I'm so excited about where we're going to be in 3, 4, even 2 years' time from an AI and an AR perspective. We've got some really cool concepts and ideas that we'll be bringing in AR. And yeah, we're looking very heavily into the AI space at the moment. So it's an area that is very, very exciting. So it's definitely one to watch.
Now you mentioned about artificial intelligence, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Tim. What I'm going to be doing is, the next question that I'm going to be asking is purely driven by artificial intelligence. So this is a message. This is a question by artificial intelligence, ChatGPT-4. And I'm curious to see what the question is, because I don't know what the question is. And I'm curious to know what your answer is as well. So the question is, I'll read it word for word. Tim, as we navigate the realms of technology, finance, and sports with Fango, one can't help to ponder the deep implications of our interconnections in this digital age. And considering Fango's vision of becoming the largest sports social fi app, how does Fango reconcile the balance between enhancing digital connectivity in sports while preserving the authenticity and intimacy of traditional fan experiences? That is a philosophical question, right?
Very philosophical for ChatGPT. It's growing. How do we kind of keep the traditional values while the digital world is evolving? I think the digital world is evolving and replacing those traditional values. I think the traditional values of your standard memberships, let's say your standard loyalty memberships and reward systems, they're very dated now. They're very old. They're not being used. The adoption isn't high. So I think the digital transformation is beneficial to rewarding fans in a new digital age that we live in now. What I want to stress, though, is that Fango is never about taking people away from experiencing live sporting events, which is why we have ticketing. We understand the importance of fan engagement, and we want people to use the Fango app to be able to buy tickets to go to sporting events, and use the Fango app to be able to redeem rewards to go to these events and those traditional channels. Like, we are a digital platform, a digital app that is still encouraging people that have the opportunity to engage in our app to still go to those games, and if they missed it, then catch up on the highlights. So I think Fango is very much about complementing traditional fan engagement in terms of going. But I think Fango is also trying to replace some traditional elements of the sports world by giving back. I think that would be my answer to ChatGPT.
I think it's absolutely spot on, and I'm really liking that. You're focusing on the physical events and real life experiences, so definitely spot on. Now, I do have two questions that is more like a general cryptocurrency or trend related question, because ever since BlackRock has gotten into Bitcoin and ETF game, the price has reached a new all-time high, the global market has changed, and new narratives are being built. So what are your thoughts regarding the ETF news? This is both in Bitcoin and also in Ethereum world as well.
I think the ETF news is Look, it's good for the price and the stability of Bitcoin. We see where it's gone. We see even with Grayscale selling off. I think Grayscale had 600 and the big 12 weeks ago, Grayscale had 650,000 BTC. Since then, they've sold nearly 50% of that, billions of dollars, and it's just being picked up by BlackRock. So I think the essence of crypto being decentralized, the currency of the people, taking it away from the banks, all of that, so they don't have much control, is changing, with now one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin being BlackRock. I think they've overtaken MicroStrategies now. So from that side of things, I think if you, depending on how much of a maximalist you are, then I think it's a negative. I think from a stability point of view, from a store of value point of view, from a price point of view, I think it is a great time to be holding Bitcoin because it is continuing to rise. I think we are going to see an incredible inflow of more money coming in. Got to remember, this ETF is basically just from, well, it's from America. We've got the UK that have announced that they're now filing for some. You're going to have every country. So think of the amount of money then when every country has their equivalent of an ETF to be able to offer their people. The money that is going to come into BTC is just going to be incredible, and then it will very much stabilize, and it will be an asset that will just be traded like any other. So I think we're still very early now, and now's a great time to be able to hold it and buy it while the rest of the world is still catching up, but it's going to be very quick.
Absolutely, and I'm really liking the explanation. Now, Tim, there are three major events that could actually shake up Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and even blockchain world for that matter. First is the Bitcoin halving, which might actually take place probably 20 days from now.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of drama going on right now between SSC and Ethereum, but on the 23rd of May, we find out if Ethereum spot ETF is approved or not. And also you have the US elections coming up. How do you think this will impact the global market? And what kind of an impact do you think it could have on Fango, either in a positive or negative way?
Yeah, look, I think the halving is there's always a bit of volatility leading up to the halving. We saw the price drop around 6% today, down to around 66, but it's crazy. People are losing their mind because it's at 66. We were at 37 about 12 weeks ago. So we need to not worry too much. Look, I think whether the SSC approve ETF for Ethereum, whether they've already obviously delayed it, and if they reject it, they'll just come back and an ETF for Ethereum will come eventually, and then I think there'll be a Solana one as well. And so I think again, holding Ethereum and looking at what's happening with Bitcoin is if you followed that upward trend. And political stability is always key for markets, be it crypto or be it TradFi. I think whoever gets in over in the States, look, I am not a big political man, and I definitely don't voice it. So I think stability in political worlds is always good for financial markets. Instability is not. So whoever gets in, I hope is crypto friendly, but I think now with the ETFs, it's added an element of stability to a political position as well. So, yeah, that's my view on it.
I think it's pretty short and sweet and spot on. And does Fango have any contingency plan for, let's say, if the scenarios are not favorable for the cryptocurrency or blockchain world? Or what if you're heading to a nuclear war or World War III?
If we're heading to a nuclear war or World War III, I don't think it's just Fango. I think it's all businesses that need to worry. But I think where Fango's different as well, and why we're such an exciting project, is a lot of these crypto projects are very crypto focused, whereas we're also a business. We have a business behind the app. We have advertising revenue, subscription revenue, we have ticketing, we have merchandising. We aren't reliant on the price of the token, on trying to charge fees, on buy, sell, and sell tax and buy tax and things like this. We're a business, and that is leveraging blockchain and cryptocurrency. So we we'll have our business behind that will be building and constantly adding new features and creating a product that people want. As I've always said, if you don't like crypto, it doesn't matter. You can still use Fango and not feel bombarded. Whereas with some other apps, I think when you use their app, it's burn this, buy this, stake this, da 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 da. It's too overpowering. Our app doesn't have that. So I think whether the crypto market is here or not, it doesn't matter, because there is still a very, very strong business model behind the app and user base and growth that will only benefit the Fango token and the cryptocurrency sector as we convert them over. We're not going into the crypto people trying to bring them over to the sports world. We already know we've got crypto people in a community that we're building. Now it's a time to bring in sports fans into that crypto world and merge them together.
That's absolutely spot on. Now, Tim, I have a few fun non-crypto related questions. I do have one fitness related question. The first one is, what is your favorite genre of music?
My favorite genre of music, I mean, I'm still like to say relatively young, even though in my late 30s, but it depends. If I'm in the car, it's probably hip hop. If I'm in the gym, it's probably house music.
Oh, like it. And 2026, I got to ask you this. Is it coming home?
Is it coming home? Well, as an Englishman, I would love to say yes, but as an Englishman and also an Arsenal fan, I've learned to deal with disappointment of not winning trophies. So, I mean, look, this year, is it coming home with the Euros in 2024? I hope so. We've got a great team. Our managers may be a bit questionable, but we've got, I think, one of the best teams. If we could then bring it home in 2026 after winning the Euros, that'd be phenomenal.
And finally, a question regarding boxing. I watch boxing a lot. Now, in a hypothetical world, if Anthony Joshua were to fight Tyson Fury, who do you have them winning? Who do you have winning? I know who you're going to be giving a preference to.
You know what? I think AJ. I think I would have to say AJ. But it would be a great boxing match if that ever happens. But I think AJ.
I mean, if it happens in London, I do think it just might be the biggest boxing event probably of all time.
For sure. For sure.
Absolutely. And finally, Tim, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience, whether it's about your journey or upcoming partnership or any other message that you're excited about to tell our listeners regarding Fango?
Just thank you for everyone for listening. The Fango app is going to be live in the coming weeks in terms of beta. Our TGE and token launch is going to be in June. We're announcing major exchanges, big VC backing over the next coming months. If you would like to understand more about Fango, about partnering with us, being involved in any elements of the business, please do reach out to me. My YouTube channel is Tim from Fango. Obviously, our website is fangolabs.tech, and then our Twitter is at Fango World. So find us on any of the social medias. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to your community.
Thank you so much, Tim. And what I'll do is, the show notes below, I'll definitely go ahead and mention all of your details, all of the YouTube channels and social media channels as well. Definitely a fantastic conversation. It's great that, you're supporting the future of sports. And it'd be really cool to have, an app which kind of merges the crypto community with the sporting industry as well. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.